Well, we say we like to go on adventures. Well, we're about to embark on the longest adventure we've ever done.
Whew.
We're going to do a 10-day trip to New York. 3 days up, 3 days there, and then 3 days back with 1 day as a buffer. It's 1,500 miles each way.
So we're going to show you in today's video what we're doing to get prepared for our trip because we don't want to leave anything we need at home. Hey, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are
two crazy campers. After losing a combined weight of more than 200 pounds.
We realized we had so much more energy for activities.
Come along with us as we explore the great outdoors.
And join us on a brand new adventure.
We have the wrong color set behind us.
We do. We have our Two Crazy Ketos set behind us.
Yeah, if you're new to our channel, we actually have a second channel, which was our first channel.
Yeah.
It's called Two Crazy Ketos, and it's all about the keto lifestyle, which is how we each lost over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about camping.
Because now that we've lost 100 pounds, we are ready to go further, explore more than we've ever done before.
Yep. So we've done videos about like things we store in an RV as a weekend warrior, and, you know, things that you should buy if you're a first-time RVer. Well, today, we're going to go over 10 things that you need to do or that we do to get prepared for a trip. So Rachel's got 5 of them, and I've got 5 of them.
Okay, so the first thing that you need to do before you do anything else, the very first most important step to getting your rig ready for a trip is to first have a cup of coffee. Do not skip this step. You've got a lot of work to do, and we need some coffee first. Really good cup of coffee. Now I'm ready to get started. Because this is not our primary residence, a lot of times Eleanor is sitting around, not getting dirty, but also not getting regularly cleaned where she's got daily freshness. It's like when you go on vacation, you come home and your home feels like it's just a little bit stagnant. You know, once you do the laundry from the vacation, you've got to like just clean up the house. Even if you left it clean and you're coming home to clean sheets, you still want to freshen it up. And so that's what I'm going to do with Eleanor today. So my first tip for getting prepared to go on the road is to do a really good deep clean. And part of that deep clean is to check and see what your supplies are like. So I'm gonna open up this cabinet right here, and I can see a bunch of upside down lotions. Look at this. I saved this deodorant, but I mean, there is nothing on top of that. So I need to go through and not just take a visual look. Hey, do I have everything? Because technically there is a stick of deodorant in here, but this is not going to get me through the trip. I need to go through and replace all of the stuff that sort of got depleted. Same thing over here. Do I technically have toothpaste? Yes, but it looks like this. We're definitely nearing the end of our toothpaste. So I need to go bring this inside where we'll get the very last bit of goodie out of this toothpaste because Joe hates buying toothpaste. And I will put a brand new toothpaste in here. Same thing for the towels. I've got towels, but I certainly don't have enough towels or wash rags to get me through my trip. And I want to make sure that even if I do not have the ability to go and, you know, get some laundry done, we will make it through the trip and make it back home completely fine with lots of yummy, fluffy towels. Here are a couple things I'm definitely making sure are completely topped off, and that is insect repellent and this mosquito fogger from Raid. This label looks pitiful, but I always make sure that we have plenty of this, especially if we're going from one season to another. So when we were camping in the winter months, we didn't have so many mosquitoes, even here in South Florida, but now we're going into the spring and summer, and I want to make sure that we're topped off and that everything is still within the correct expiration date, because I do not want to get to a campsite and be without these guys. This is a great opportunity for me to check on the laundry pods and quarter situation going on inside of Eleanor. I'm gonna bring enough towels where I won't have to do laundry and enough clothes for that, but just in case we can have access to a washer or dryer, I want to be ready for it. And even if we don't, they'll be in here for the next trips, especially if you put them inside of these lock and lock style containers. They really stay nice and fresh, even in the South Florida heat. I haven't had any of them explode or anything, and they're ready for future trips. Okay, our toilet paper is fully stocked, and I made sure that if there was anything missing from our first aid kit, like let's say you use some burn cream or something on the last trip, I want to make sure I replace that. And also, it's a good time to check for these guys, because even if I'm not using them on this trip, future Rachel will be very thankful that I checked and restocked. I so wish we had smell-o-vision, y'all, because this does not look very different, but it smells and feels way different. So we have replaced everything that needed replacing. I've got my laundry hamper ready, my outdoor garbage can, we got plenty of towels and washcloths, and we are ready to hit the road from the bathroom's perspective. I do not really decorate Eleanor because we're weekend warriors, and I don't want to move a bunch of tchotchkes every single time we go out for a 3-day vacation. But I did find these at Walmart for just $3 an element. So it's functional and it kind of freshens things up. So rugs are something that you can freshen up your rig with. Maybe get a new towel because you're going to use it and it's going to cuten it up, but you don't have a bunch of bric-a-brac that you have to move around to get out of town.
So while Rachel's list is mostly pertaining to the inside, like cleaning it up and, doing the clothes, my list has to do with safety and getting the rig itself taken care of. And my first thing is actually inside. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what number 2 is. So number 2 has to do with the refrigerator. See, we have an RV fridge, which is what a lot of people have. And this is an absorption refrigerator. So it works differently than your standard residential refrigerator or even those new 12-volt compressor fridges. See, those refrigerators work by taking the air and it runs it through the compressor with refrigerant, and it gets the air inside of the fridge cold. This works differently. It actually goes through a chemical reaction using ammonia, and it absorbs the hot air out of the refrigerator and pumps it out through the vents. What that means is it's not super efficient and it takes a long time to get cold. So what we do is 24 hours before leaving, we're going to come out and make sure the refrigerator is running. Now, for us, it's a little different because we just leave the RV plugged in all the time. But I still come out at least 24 hours prior to make sure it's running, make sure it's nice and cold. So if you don't have yours plugged in, you might want to go out and even turn it on the gas or plug it in and just get it going cold. So you can see here, we've had it running and the freezer is at 3 degrees and the refrigerator is at 35. So when we come in here, everything is nice and cold. Now, the other thing I do with the refrigerator is I always check to see if we need to defrost it, which I actually did yesterday. So you can already see a little bit of frost on the back. One thing about RV refrigerators is you do have to defrost them.
Tip number 3 is cool down your grocery items before you put it inside of your RV refrigerator and freezer. Joe will get the fridge nice and cold for me, but then I don't want to put hot beverages inside of the fridge and bring that temperature down. So I will freeze the meat, I will cool down the lunch meat, I will make sure we've got really cold beverages, and then I will put it inside of the RV when I'm packing.
So number 4, drain out your fresh water tank and replace it with some new fresh water. Now, anytime we go camping and have water in our tank, we do always put sanitizer in there just so that we don't have any like mold or bacteria or anything like that growing in the fresh water. But we've been sitting for 3 weeks, so I don't really want to drink the water that's in there or even use it for like brushing my teeth or anything. So whenever we go on a trip, we drain everything out and we put new fresh water in there. Now, we don't like to travel with a full tank. Now, the way we know we have enough water is we have one of these little meters, and this meter is going to measure the amount of water that is going through the hose. So we put about 10 gallons in there, which is going to be more than enough if we need to flush the toilet, if we have to make an emergency stop, if we want to stop and maybe do some cooking, anything like that. Now, if you don't have one of these, there is a link for them down in the description, but also just go check out your meter on the inside. Those are pretty accurate. Black tanks, not so much. So what we're going to do is just go up inside and see how much water we have. So up here on the convenience tank, we're going to sit here and we're at 1/3 of a tank. So we're good. So the other part of number 4 is to check your propane levels. You never know how much propane you're going to use when you go on a trip. I mean, there's been times where we've gone out and we hardly used any And then there's other times where we had to resort to running the RV fridge on gas, and we did a lot of cooking. And you know, you could be like in a situation we're in right now where we are leaving 90-degree temperatures. Can you tell, like, I'm sweating? And my sister said right now in New York, it's 32 degrees and snowing. So we may have to run our, furnace a little bit. So, not really used to that being from South Florida. So I always like to travel with at least one full tank of propane, preferably have them both full, or at least the second one almost full. So I do have one of these little gauges from Opeka. There's little sensors you put on the bottom of each tank. It works really well. So now all I gotta do is press the button, and it's gonna tell me how much propane is left in the tank. And you can see there, so tank 1 is full, so we're gonna turn off tank 1, and then we're gonna go ahead and check tank 2. And again, sometimes it takes a couple seconds. That one popped right up. So both of my tanks are full. Now, I'm happy about that. Now, if you do need, propane, maybe it's only half full, I'm gonna advise you, do not go to one of those propane exchange places. Take the time, go take the propane off of, your rig, and then go to a place like U-Haul. There's lots of places that will actually just top it off. So instead of spending that $15, $20, $25 to do a tank exchange, and they don't even give you a full tank, you can go to a place like U-Haul and they charge you by the gallon, and it's gonna be much cheaper. Even if your tank is completely empty, it's cheaper than doing a tank exchange. But the nice thing is let's say you only need a little bit, you're just gonna pay whatever propane goes in there, not for a full tank. So definitely look into that.
Tip number 5 is make the bed. Now, I know everybody is making the bed when they're getting their RV packed, but I like to do things a little bit differently. We are about to go on a 3-state trip. So I know that we're probably going to have some varied temperatures across those different 3 states. So I like to make the bed with different layers that I can pull off when we get to the campsite, no problem. I've got heavier quilt, I've got a top blanket. So whatever the weather is going to be like, we're sort of prepared. Now, obviously, we don't care about making everything matchy-matchy. My bed at home is cute. My bed here in Eleanor is just functional. So I don't mind having like mismatched pillowcases. I can use the linens that they don't match anything, but you also don't want to throw them away in your linen closet. RV's perfect for those guys. I also take along another change of sheets. So this is what a pack of sheets came in, and I just keep reusing this container because it stores really well. And that way, if something happens and we're on the road, I don't have to worry about finding a washer and dryer. I can just strip the bed, put some new sheets on, and keep rolling. And this is why I cannot trust Joe. I turn my back for a second and there's a billion new wires here in the rig. And he's like, can you reach into this hole? Because I have yet another wire that needs to come in the rig. What is up with all the wires?
I'm preparing for our trip.
Okay.
So we're doing a long trip and we're gonna be staying at some Harvest Hosts. I wanna know where my battery is. So I'm installing a Victron Energy battery monitor. So I have this thing wired to the battery in the front, and now this is the cable. And now this is gonna get screwed into a giant hole that I'm gonna put right here.
Nice.
But it's always gonna tell us how much battery we have. So number 6 is an electrical check. So I go through the entire rig and I check to make sure my air conditioner is running because I wanna stay married. And Rachel will not be happy if the air conditioner isn't running. Remember, we are in South Florida. I check all of the GFIs. I make sure that the refrigerator, again, is still running. And now I've got it on right now, AC. So I always, if I'm running it on gas, I switch it over, make sure it's running on there. I check all of my breakers, make sure there's no blown fuses or anything like that. And then I come over and I check the battery. So if you don't have a battery meter like this, you can get little voltage meters. Just put it onto your batteries and check it out. We have a Battleborn battery in here, and I have one of these Victron Energy things. This allows me to constantly monitor what my battery is doing. So right now it does say I have 14.53 volts, which is perfect. That means they're maxed out. I'm really good. After that, we're gonna go around and we're gonna check all of our lights on the outside. We make sure the outside lights run. Like Rachel, you can see, actually has the awning light on. I'm gonna check my tail lights. I'm gonna check all of my side markers. I wanna make sure all of the lights are working preferably at least the day before we're leaving. Now, why am I checking it the day before? Because the last thing you want to do is get ready to hook up, like we're leaving at 5 in the morning, and find out you've got a burnt out tail light. If I do it today, I can go to the store and get a new bulb if I need it. So it's just best to just go that once over, give it a quick check, and then again, when you're leaving, you can do that final walk around inspection.
I wanted to highlight a few things that you can be on the lookout for when you're trying to eliminate stuff in between trips. So here's a few things I found. Dried out wipes, you want to get rid of those. Poopery, which I love, but I do not love this smell. This smell is fresh cut grass. I'm not quite sure why they made this smell. I don't like it, and it's not staying on Eleanor. I had a lot of empty boxes where we finished the last bag of something, but then never threw out the box. It does not need to come on the next trip. Grogu, who I love, Baby Yoda, so awesome. Got this pillow, thought that it would be super comfy, but on trips, we just move him around. He is in the way. He is an obstacle. So he can stay home. I'm gonna love him in my she shed, snuggle with him at home, but like, yeah, he's not coming on the trip. We had lots of instruction books that can stay at home. I want to make sure we don't lose these, but I know how to use the paddleboard now. I do not need to bring that along with me. I found some stuff where I was looking for it, but it had been laid down in a wrong place in the RV. So the last time we went on a trip, I was looking all over for this guy and couldn't find it anywhere. So now that I found it, I can put it in the right place. And last but certainly not least, cups and dishes that have been camp clean, but not really clean. You know how the kids take a shower at the campsite and you're like, good enough, but like, we're not going to Easter Sunday smelling like this. Like, you're clean enough for camp, but you're not clean enough for real. So same thing with this. These blender bottles are not smelling great. My coffee mug is like camp clean, but it needs to go inside and get really cleaned or replaced altogether. So tip number 7 is go through all of your closets and make sure you've got clothes for the right season and the right excursion. The last time we headed out in Eleanor, we were headed to the Keys. Very different dress code than what we're going to experience going in April to upstate New York. So I've got to make sure that I've got layers of clothes, long sleeves, jackets, all that good stuff, not just bikinis, to take with us on this trip.
You also want to make sure you have enough underwear. So number 8 has to do with the truck. Pretty much everything that I just did on the rig, I'm now going to do on the truck. For example, I'm going to go through, I'm going to make sure all of the lights are working. I'm going to make sure that my tail lights are working, my headlights are working. I'm going to make sure I have no issues with my truck. If I'm doing a really long drive, especially if it's been a little while since I've done it, I'm going to go give it an oil change. Now, since we're putting 3,000 miles on the truck for this trip, and it's probably been about 7,000 or 8,000 miles since I did an oil change, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do another oil change before we leave. This way I know, everything is perfect. It doesn't cost that much money. I mean, this is a gas engine, it's 7 quarts of oil and, buying an oil filter, and it takes me like 20 minutes to do.
Tip number 9 is check your low tech and no tech activities. So hopefully when we get to a campsite, there will be full hookup, there will be great internet access, and we will glamp to the fullest. However, what if it rains? What if we don't have electricity? What if the internet's not working? I like to make sure that we have something fun to do no matter what we run into. So I check all of the board games, make sure that we've got all the pieces and we could play. A lot of times I will add a new game, something that we've never played before. So it's something to look forward to just in case. And I check to make sure that we have plenty of DVDs in case we're inside and all we've got is our DVD player.
So number 10, what I think is the most important thing to do when you're getting ready to go on a trip, check all your tires. You want to check all of your tires for wear, make sure nothing is wearing inside or outside, make sure there's no holes, and then go through and check your pressure. So I actually have an onboard Viair system that I've mounted inside the truck. It allows me to run my airbags, but also I installed this little quick connect back here, and what this does is it allows me to always have air with me. I never have to worry about finding a gas station or anything like that. And this system is actually capable of inflating up to 120 PSI. So I just pull out my little gauge, and we're gonna go around to each tire and check the tire pressure.
So are we ready to go, Joe?
We actually have one more bonus tip.
Okay.
And this is a very important one. I want you to leave all of your troubles, your problems, any kind of stress you have from work, leave it at home. It will be there when you get back.
That's very true.
You're about to embark on an adventure, a trip, a vacation. Whatever you may be doing, you're leaving home. So leave your problems at home and don't bring them with you. Because if you bring them with you, you're not going to enjoy yourself.
No, especially for a weekend warrior, this is super important because normally we're only gone for 2 or 3 days. And if you take 2 or 3 days to get relaxed and release the stress from what's behind you, yeah, the trip is over.
Yeah, I mean, and even this trip, I mean, this is a long trip for us at 10 days, but we've not left the state of Florida with our RV before. So that's an adventure and stuff. And I want to explore that adventure. I haven't seen my mom in almost 2 years. I definitely want to appreciate and enjoy the time with her. So the last thing I want to do is bring all of my problems with me. Now, I do want to say before we finish this video up, everything that we just did, you know, those are the main things that we do. There's still little things that we do. And also everything that we talked about, as I said before, we do one more walk around together before we leave. So even though I've already checked the tires,
fresh eyes,
and I've checked the battery, and I made sure all the lights were going, once we're all hooked up, Rachel's going to walk around with me, and we're going to make sure that all of that stuff is there. We're going to make sure we've got our pillows. We're going to make sure that, like, I haven't left my teeth at home.
Ooh, that's very important.
Yeah, so it's always good to prepare yourself a couple of days ahead of time, but then right before you leave, just do a quick walk around safety check. So that's going to be today's video. Now let us know down in the comment section if there's any other things that you do when you get ready to go on an RV trip. Now please do us a favor, hit that like button down below. It really does help build the channel. It also lets us know what kind of videos you guys like to watch. And please do us a favor, hit that subscribe button down below.
And don't forget to hit the little bell button, and that way every single time we upload a new video, you'll be alerted to it.
Till next time,
Happy camping!